But you thought the 5 things was over just because the season is, then you was wrong, my friend, because we're going to have loads of 5 things coming out. And the big one that we're going to do today is 5 things we learned about Erik Ten Hag. Bosh! So when Erik Ten Hag was appointed as Manchester United last summer, we all believed he had an absolute mammoth task. I remember doing my Premier League predictions. I might have had Arsenal in 8th. That might have had a little bit to do with just winding Arsenal fans up. Might have had a little bit of truth to it as well. I put United like 3rd or 4th, maybe 4th. And I think I snuck them in on optimism. And if you look at what all of the BBC pundits were doing, I think one person had us inside the top 4, one person had us inside the top 3. That was it. Manchester United were not expected to finish inside the top 4. That was our hope, was that we finished inside the top 4. We just slumped to a 6th place finish. The Ralph Rangnick stuff was so bad. And I'm not even sure it necessarily reflects so bad on Ralph Rangnick. I think it was just a case of an interim manager of that kind coming in at that time with those players under those circumstances was the mistake. I think Ralph is still a good dude who still knows exactly what he's talking about. It was just absolutely disastrous at Manchester United for whatever reasons and under whatever circumstances. Ten Hag left Ajax, where he had enjoyed plenty of success, not the certainty of success that some people had you believe, but he embarked on an ambition to test himself at the highest level with a sleeping giant, with sadly an impatient fan base and an incompetent board. He left himself with a lot to do. 6 years without a trophy and a decade without a league title. Become the 5th permanent manager since Sir Alex Ferguson's retirement. And in summary, he did well. It wasn't 10 out of 10. And it wasn't bad. It was 7 out of 10. Particularly pleasing was the home form. And also ending the 6-year wait for a trophy. And it is the lesser of the trophies that an English team can win. But it was a trophy. Guided us back into the Champions League at the first attempt. He is the first. We've had managers get Champions League qualifications and we've had managers win trophies. Not one of the managers in the last 10 years has done both at the same time. Therefore, massive tick in the box for Erik Ten Hag. His main objective at the beginning of the season was, I believe, top 4 finish, and he achieved that. Some nervy moments towards the last couple of months, but we did it, and we passed that with flying colours. Now, let's have a look at the first thing. Number 1, the character. Now, I think you have to have a little bit of a presence about you as a Manchester United manager. I think that was probably one of the major things David Moyes fell down on. I think Louis had it, Jose had it. I think actually Ole had it to a certain degree. But Erik Ten Hag is the gaffer, and you know on no uncertain terms. And he's took the task of rebuilding United head on, and he's not been afraid to make the big decisions, and he's invariably made the right decision with the big decisions. He seems to be charismatic, although quiet. There is an aura about him. He's definitely in charge. There is a steeliness and hardness about him that I think comes across, even over camera and stuff. Very serious, but also quite charismatic with it as well. And the way he tackled the Cristiano Ronaldo situation was flawless. And I think the one that stands out the most, where I think everyone kind of sat up and went, yeah, I like that, was when we found out he got the players in on a Sunday morning, told them they needed to run 13 whatever kilometres because that was how far we were outrun by Brentford, and did it alongside them. Not that he needed to win over any of the players, but that definitely would have won over some of the players. He never gets too high. He never gets too low. He takes ownership and responsibility, which is massive. There's far too many people, not just in football, but in the world, want to blame everything on other people. And he goes, nah, I'm in charge. I'll sort it. And you got to love that. I think you need that. He's very honest and refreshing in his press conferences. Not 100% honest, because there's always agendas that they have to protect and this, that, and the other. And you can't just come out and say, I'm trying to sign that player and I'm trying to sell this one. You have to play the game to a certain degree, but he's quite honest and isn't afraid of saying, no, that wasn't good enough, or correcting someone if they present something to him and he doesn't agree with it, which is good. He's got a real strong calmness about him, and I think that'll materialise into an even more settled squad after they've had this pre-season with him, and he gets even more signings that align to what he's trying to achieve. Number 2, player management. It's kind of linked into a little bit of what we just saw in the last one, but the way he handled Ronaldo, the way he navigated the Harry Maguire, he's come in, gone, oh, by the way, this is the club captain. We paid 80 million for him. He's on a fortune, but he's not very good. And he's gone, cool, I'd like to buy a new centre-half. And the fact that that wasn't a drama, and the fact that he managed that entire situation where it's never really been anything that's impacted the team, because it could have done, is a credit to both Harry Maguire and to Erik Ten Hag. But Erik Ten Hag's managed this. The way he's handled Garnacho, this is a young man that the whole world wants. This is a young man that's turned up late on pre-season. It's a young man who's got a contract situation within this season, and he's come out of it with flying colours to the point where he was almost a hero on FA Cup final day at the end of the season. The players speak glowingly of him. And even the way he navigated Jadon Sancho in this season, and his attention to detail, going the extra mile to organise things for him over in Holland so he can get himself right. It might not have materialised how he hoped, but I think it shows what he's all about. He's managing the players on an individual basis and expecting a higher set of standards out of them. And I don't think any of them mind the way they're being managed. It certainly doesn't come across like there's anyone bothered about it. All of the little leaks to the press, they've stopped. All of the little, all of the shit that was there throughout the last season of Ollie and that Ralph Rangnick thing, where this bunch of players, you was like, you do me head in, you lot. Complaining about, it's dark and it's that. It just hasn't happened under Ten Hag. And I think that comes from him. Number 3, tactical freshness. I don't think we've got the personnel to fully implement Erik Ten Hag's ideas. And I also don't think they've quite had the training ground time to fully implement and work on those systems. When you play in a game every 3 days, you're literally focused on recovery, couple of the threats about this opposition, get out there, go get it done. You haven't got those extra 2 or 3 sessions in a week where you can say, right, here's my ideal plan A, playing out from the back. Here's my blah, 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 moving through the thirds. Here's my chance creation, final third. You haven't really had that sort of opportunity. So the fact that we've seen a clear identity and a clear idea and clear philosophy is a testament to he knows exactly what he wants. And it wavered over the course of the season, and I think for the reasons that I mentioned. I expect to see it jump up a notch after pre-season this year. We saw inverted fullbacks. You don't really see them overlapping too much. We see a 3-1-6 build-up. You're seeing very much positional flexibility. Hasn't been perfect, but there has been changes and improvements, and we have seen it. His in-game tactics and substitutions, I believe, could improve. That might improve when he improves his options. I think that's just one of the most obvious. You look at what we brought off the bench against Manchester City in the final versus what they were bringing off the bench. You can only piss with a cut you got. And I think that was the situation that he was dealing with in a big way. We've been largely a transitional team that's actually done quite well on the transition, but personnel notwithstanding, it does look like Ten Hag's gearing up for Manchester United to become a team that controls games with the ball. And right now, United's games and game management is probably a little bit too chaotic for us to achieve the real sort of true success with doing that. We've become a lot more front foot. We've got better at counter pressing. I think there's some really good signs in that. Number 4, demanding. We've shown, and he's shown, that he's never satisfied. He's always thinking about what can be improved, what can be developed, what can be worked on. He has extremely high standards and expectations, and he has not been shy in dropping players that don't meet those expectations. He's been very vocal in recent weeks about the ambition that he expects and requires from the club in the transfer window, and I think we all kind of can get behind that. And at Manchester United, expectations and demands should always be sky high. They should be, well, what's the most that's achievable? You know, there has to be a dash of realism in, like, well, probably not going to be on for a treble next season, I don't think. But there has to be a desire, there has to be a pressure. Can you create a team that wins the league? Now, we're not saying you got to do it in 12 months. We might not even be saying you got to do it in 24 months. But can you get us closer now than we was last year? And can we be closer next year than we are now? If all of those things are yes, then you will continue. And eventually you'll get to the mountain peak. It's when it stops, regresses, or completely falls apart, that's when there's a problem. And that's when there's a decision to be made. But while it's moving in the right direction, you got to just keep on that path. And finally, more to come. This has been an adjustment season. I think we saw evidence of Ten Hag's learning in the season. We saw him learn from the arse kicking that we got away at the Etihad at the start of the season, turn that into a victory for United in the home Premier League game. And then in the FA Cup final, I think it was a little bit of personnel, a little bit of that we're just nowhere near that City team at the moment. But we still saw him learn, and we still saw tactical improvements in that game against the best team probably in the world. Transfer window is a big opportunity for recruitment and to improve the squad. We obviously all hope that he gets the opportunity to do that. I think he's probably got a better understanding of what his squad strengths and weaknesses are. I think he'll look back at it and go, okay, this worked. Let's do more of that. And this was, you know, there's room for improvement here, here, and here. There's certain people that you feel you can just get behind. And Ten Hag really feels like one of those people. There's a level of anticipation and excitement around the club that I don't think existed. It didn't exist under Moyes. Under Moyes, there wasn't an anticipation. There was almost a panic. Oh shit, we haven't got Fergie, what's going to happen? And then the wheels came off pretty quickly under Moyes, and it was like, oh, we're fucked. I remember making a video like in the Moyes season saying, oh, this might suck for like 5, 6, 7 years. Fucking undercooked that one, didn't I? It was always going to take us a good while to course correct. And we still got a lot of things that need to be improved. I think the football recruitment side is being embarrassed by not just City, but the likes of Brighton and even Leicester to a greater or lesser degree. Manchester United should be renowned for everything associated with that club should be the best in the world. They should say, oh, Manchester United, oh, we got the best fucking cheese butties in the world in our canteen. Manchester United, oh, we've got the best fucking swimming pool that football's ever seen. It massages you while you're in it. Oh, Manchester United, oh, we've got the grass. You want to fucking see how green our grass is. Dulux come and fucking take pictures of it for their chart. That's how green our grass is. Oh, Manchester United, oh, the fucking oxygen in our canteen is fucking... and the perfect temperature as well. Everything about United should be best in class, from recruitment to changing rooms to our fucking coach should be carbon neutral. Whatever it is, this club should stand for excellence. And if it doesn't, someone needs a boot in the dick and has to explain why. Because there's no other reasons except that our owners don't really want us to be. Because we are in and have been in the position where we can do anything we want. And I think with Erik Ten Hag at the helm, he's the man that's going to push us to doing that. The level of detail Sir Alex Ferguson had for little things is echoed by the level of detail that Erik Ten Hag has. Who the fuck thought about swapping around the dugouts? And why, by the way? Here's my question for Erik Ten Hag. That's the stuff we know about. What's the stuff that we don't know about? And why? What's the little details that you've improved at Manchester United? Because I think there'll be numerous. He ain't just going to have gone... He did that in summer last year, July last year. I think he's just sat in his arse and gone, right, well, that was it. Now we'll definitely win the league now. Those marginal gains, those little 1% improvements here, there and everywhere. You eventually get to be the best in the world when you've improved it for that much, for that long, on a consistent basis. He's done fantastically well. But he's got to go on from here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.